Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to another installment of Scott's Selections here for Sunday, May 26th. I'm aware that this video is coming out a lot earlier than usual, but I actually have a flight to catch to Las Vegas in roughly 4 hours, so I decided to get the video out of the way now so I can provide you with the content you want before I'd be unable to do it in a couple of hours. So with that being said, we did not have a play of the day yesterday. However, our baseball lanes are pretty solid, and with regard to the basketball game, we ended up splitting that as we won with the Raptors, but we did lose with the total, as I expected a decent amount of more points. But the Bucks offense was put completely into a box by Toronto, and they had absolutely no answers throughout the entirety of the game. So Toronto had a great comeback, 15 points. Kawhi Leonard took over. Giannis vanished. And overall, I think Budenholzer might have had one of the worst series as a coach I've ever seen. His inability to adjust, not willing to put Giannis at center, not giving Connaughton more minutes, giving Eric Bledsoe 30 minutes in an elimination game, I thought was absolutely absurd. And they're going home. In terms of what I think about the finals, we'll get into that when the NBA Finals approaches. But I'm definitely going to be leaning to the Warriors here pretty heavily, as I think that Toronto is a great story, but I think that the Warriors are a great team, and I think that the Warriors should be able to win another championship. But with that being said, we'll actually move on to baseball. It's another baseball exclusive card, with the exception of tennis, as I've already gone over that in the tennis videos I've made earlier today. But since there is no hockey and there is no basketball, for the sake of most mainstream bettors, baseball is the only thing that people have. So we have come up with a play that I particularly enjoy, which we will be giving out for play of the day. And as you can tell by the title of the video, it is actually going to be on the Arizona Diamondbacks as they take on the San Francisco Giants. And the best line available is currently at minus 114 on Bet Online. So that is going to be the line that we are going to end up using. Now, the main reason why we like the play is based on the fact that we think that the Diamondbacks are a significantly better team, and the fact that they have looked like a much better team in this series in particular, as the Giants continue to look like one of the worst teams in all of baseball. Now, in particular, Arizona will be using Luke Weaver, who's 3-3 with a 3.14 ERA, where San Francisco will be using Sean Alexander, 0-0 with a 3.6 ERA. Giants are just 10-17 at home, not a good team whatsoever. And Anderson has actually had the exact same start back-to-back times, as he ended up going 5 innings and giving up 2 earned runs in each of the first 2 starts of his career, which resulted in Giants wins. However, the Diamondbacks have outscored the Giants so far in the 2 games of the series, 28-6. It's been a destruction. Diamondbacks scored 10 runs yesterday. They scored 18 runs in the first game on Friday. Giants have no answers. Diamondbacks lineup has been absolutely rolling. And it's also worth mentioning that the Giants, besides the fact that their offense is one of the worst in the league, they've had terrible numbers against Luke Weaver historically, as the team itself is currently in 42 at-bats with active players. The Giants have an on-base percentage of .182 against Weaver, which is awful, to say the least. And we believe that the Giants will continue to struggle offensively, and we think that the Diamondbacks should be able to get out to Anderson relatively early. And even if Anderson does pitch well, we do not really like this Giants bullpen, as the Diamondbacks hitters have absolutely torched whoever has faced them, regardless of whether it was a starter or a reliever. Now, for some stats, it's also worth mentioning that the Giants have the lowest on-base percentage in the entire league versus righties, and the Diamondbacks actually have the 4th most runs on the road this season. So the Diamondbacks, a lot of people think that they have a huge advantage at Chase Field over there in Arizona, and they do. But this team can actually hit wherever. They don't only hit at home. They hit equally and possibly even better on the road. And the Giants simply can't hit righties, and they are just an awful team. So getting the Diamondbacks here at minus 114, I feel like is an absolute steal. And I think there is a lot of value on that. So that will be the play of the day that we are going to go with. We are going with the Arizona Diamondbacks at minus 114 on the money line, and that is available at Bet Online at time of recording of 3:22 Eastern Standard Time. Now, to move on to the rest of the baseball card, we'll be giving out some leans. There are some lines that are not available at this point in time, so we will just talk about it briefly. But the first game is between the Padres and the Blue Jays with Paddock versus Stroman. Lean to the Padres. Almost thought about giving this out as play of the day at minus 127 on 5 dimes. Paddock's been great. Stroman's been pretty solid. His record's not good, but his ERA is below 3. But the Padres have absolutely dominated Toronto in the first 2 games of the series. The reason why we picked Arizona over the Padres for the play today is because Stroman is still a very solid pitcher, and Anderson's a relative unknown, and the Diamondbacks have outscored them 28-6 in the first 2 games. So we like the Diamondbacks, and the line is at -114 there instead of the Padres at -127. So we think there's extra value on the Diamondbacks. But in terms of this game, I love the Padres here. Paddock's great. Stroman has been solid, but Toronto can't hit. And the Padres scored, I believe it was 18 or 19 runs yesterday. Their offense is clicking, so I lean to the Padres there. Moving on, you finally have one of the games where there is a no line between the Indians and the Rays, with Stanek pitching against Bauer. Stanek is an opener, so he will only be pitching 1 inning. But for the Indians, I personally lean to Bauer here, and the Indians, they did lose yesterday. Carrasco did not pitch well, but I like the Indians with Bauer at home here. Stanek's been okay recently, not great. But overall, I think the Indians should be able to get the job done against Bauer, assuming that the line is appropriate. I recommend betting that. Moving on, you have the Tigers and the Mets. The over-under is at 8. We ended up recommending the over 9 yesterday. That ended up pushing as that game went to extra innings at 4-4. But you have Wheeler and Turnbull. I still lean to the over there. In terms of the money line here, Mets are -180. I don't want to touch that at all. Wheeler's been pretty poor, and Turnbull's been equally poor. So for that reason, I'll lean to the 8. I think that line is too low. I think that game should generate at least 9-10 runs, so I lean to the over there. Moving on, I lean to the Dodgers with Maeda against Archer. Money's come in on the Pirates, but the Dodgers are currently a -159 favorite on Pinnacle. I lean there. Dodgers have looked great over the first 2 games of the series, and the Pirates are a pretty good team. Dodgers are a great team, and I think the Dodgers will be able to get the win. Another game with no line here. You have the Marlins against the Nationals with Caleb Smith versus Fetty. Smith is very good, but the Nationals just won 5-0. It seems like they got out of their slump by playing the Marlins. Marlins had a nice winning streak, and then that got snapped. I lean to the Nationals here to sweep at home. I do like Caleb Smith, though, so I would stay away from the first 5. But I definitely think the Nationals will be able to get to the Marlins bullpen. Nationals bullpen stinks also. So in terms of that, I potentially lean to the over, but I don't know what that line is. But for me, I'll lean to the Nationals there at home. Moving on, you have the Red Sox and the Astros. Thrilling game yesterday as the Astros ended up winning in walk-off fashion due to a Carlos Correa single in the 9th. But totals at 8.5. I lean to the under. Verlander's a great pitcher. Rodriguez has been hit or miss. But overall, I think Verlander's going to pitch well, and I think that this game should go under the 8.5. I see this game being very competitive, and I think this game will end somewhere in the realm of 4-3, 4-2. So I will lean to the under on that one. Moving on, you have the Phillies and the Brewers. We were right about the Phillies yesterday, recommending you taking Arrieta at roughly a +120 underdog. They won easily. Now in this game, you have Eflin versus Woodruff, and the Brewers are a +160 or a -160 favorite once again. Totals at 9. Lean to the Phillies again. No way the Brewers should be a -160 favorite here. The Phillies have been rolling lately, and I personally think that the Phillies should be able to get another win here. And the fact that Philly right now is getting roughly +147, I find absurd, and I would personally lean to taking the Phillies there. So I would lean to the Phillies, and I'll also lean to the over on that one. Moving on, you have the Twins and the White Sox. Twins have been rolling. I believe they've won 10 out of 11. And they've destroyed the White Sox so far in the series. Totals and bet up from 10 to 10.5. You have Odorizzi versus Covey. Odorizzi overall historically has not been great, but he's had a fantastic season with the Twins as he continues to win. -240 with the Twins. You have to lean that way, but there's no value there. In terms of actual value, I'd lean to the Twins team total over, as the Twins have absolutely been annihilating the ball over the last week or 2 weeks or so. And the White Sox pitching, whether it's starting or relieving, is terrible. So I'd personally be leaning to the over on that one for the Twins team total. Moving on, you have the Yankees versus the Royals, and we recommended the Yankees yesterday. They ended up sweeping the doubleheader, but they're at -150 here with Germán versus Duffy. Duffy stinks, and the Yankees lineup, despite Stanton and Judge being out, their lineup's fantastic. And it seems kind of funny to watch as every team now is stuck with the analytics of trying to hit and sabermetrics of trying to hit home runs every time. And the Yankees now, with all the injuries to their key players, do something that most teams don't do, and that's actually get on base. And it's crazy how teams don't really do that anymore, and they just try to swing for the fences. But the Yankees were all about home runs earlier in the year. Now with their new lineup, with Urshela and even Cameron Maybin coming in lately, they just get on base all the time. And I think the Yankees will win this game relatively easily. So I would lean to the Yankees there, and I'd also lean to the over 9.5, as Germán pitches well typically for about 6 innings, then he'll give up a couple runs in the 7th in his last inning, and Boone's a little bit hesitant to pull him. But the Yankees' bullpen's been okay. Rowe's bullpen's been terrible. And their bullpen should also be tired after having to pull Lopez in the second leg of a doubleheader in the middle of the second inning. So I'd lean to the over there and the Yankees. Moving on, you have the Cubs and the Reds. No total out yet, but the Cubs are currently a minus 155 favorite, give or take, with Quintana versus Rourke. Lean to the Cubs there. That was one of the leans we got incorrectly yesterday. We recommended the Cubs, but we ended up recommending the under there as Darvish was pitching better lately. He was awful, but he wasn't as bad as Molly, and the Cubs ended up winning. So I leaned to the Cubs there. Moving on, we actually were right about Colorado again, as we recommended the over in that one. The Orioles ended up winning, but we also mentioned the Nolan Arenado home run prop, and he homered again. So if you ended up taking that, that's a nice plus price there. And interesting fact, Nolan Arenado in his last 5 games has recorded at least 2 hits in each of those 5 games. Arenado's the hottest hitter in baseball. He's batting roughly 330-something, and he can't be stopped. So if you look for player props on that, especially with Hess on the mound versus Marquez, Rockies are a minus 300 favorite, give or take. But in terms of value, I lean to the Rockies team total over, and I'd lean to Arenado over in every single player prop there is. As Arenado continues to cook, I'd lean towards hits, runs, RBIs over, potentially a home run, total bases, him versus whoever. It doesn't matter. I think that Arenado right now is in a rhythm that nobody else is in right now in baseball, and I personally would continue to back him personally. With the Diamondbacks, we already gave that out. Moving on, you have the Mariners versus the A's. We ended up recommending the Mariners yesterday, and I believe it was the over on that one, and I believe the A's ended up winning that one. I want to say by a score of 5-4, I think. But as I pulled that up, I'm pretty sure the A's ended up winning by 1 run yesterday. But I just want to, they ended up winning 6-5, so the game did go over the total, but the A's ended up winning. So we were incorrect about that lean for a plus price on the Mariners, but we were right about the over. Moving on, you have the Rangers and the Angels. So we recommended the Rangers in that one and the over. Those just both wrong. Rangers probably should have won, but the Angels ended up having a nice 2-run 9th inning to answer the Rangers' 2-run 9th inning as they were able to get away with a victory. And for this game itself, with Heaney versus Jurado, I'm leaning to the Angels. They're roughly minus 158. Money's poured on the Angels. Total's at 9. If I have any real thoughts, I'd lean to the over, but I'm not really. That's more just a very small lean. I expect the Rangers to kind of they're on a good run there. They're trying to stay above 500 right now. But the Angels had a very emotional win yesterday after coming from behind. I think they'll ride it, and I think the Angels will win this game. And moving on, you have the Braves and the Cardinals with Tehran versus Flaherty. And the Cardinals are a minus 140-something favorite. Cardinals played well yesterday. The Braves had the lead. Their bullpen blew it. In terms of this game, if you're going to look to the Braves, only bet on the first 5. This Braves bullpen's terrible. It's a gas can waiting to explode, and I just don't trust this team at all after the 6th inning, so to speak. Tehran can be hit or miss, but overall he's got great stuff. Flaherty's pretty good, but I still think the Braves lineup is far superior than the Cardinals lineup, so I will lean to the Braves there. But as I said before, the play of the day for May 26th will be on the Diamondbacks on the money line at minus 114, which is available at Bet Online at this time of recording. So that'll be the play of the day. But before we conclude today's video, a quick reminder of our sponsor at PointsBet, their online sportsbook in New Jersey. A lot of great deals with NHL and NBA, but those are not applicable today, so I will not talk about them. They still have their 2 risk-free bets of up to $1,000. So if you end up betting on anything and you lose, you get your money back, which is a great deal, and a lot of books do not offer that. So that is definitely a very unique promo that PointsBet is running to try to make sure that their users actually get some type of unique benefit that isn't available to any other book, and I appreciate them for doing so. But with that being said, that's going to do it for this installment of Scott's Selections here for Sunday, May 26th, and good luck to all of you and your respective bets today. Bye, everyone.